Hello, everyone. Welcome to our webinar this afternoon. So, I am giving you a brief overview of circulation in Koha. I'm not going to go into a massive amount of detail. We have a couple of other webinars that touch on this subject. And as a Koha customer, you can come to us for help at any time, obviously, and we will cover a lot of these sorts of things if you come to us as a customer during the implementation. We do have lots of other webinars available on our YouTube channel, and this one will be available as well. So please have a look at that. I'm going to just dive straight in and I'm going to look at the staff interface of Koha. Now, in the staff interface, I am a super librarian, so you can already see that there's a lot of different modules available to me. And I'm going to briefly go through a few different things to orientate ourselves. The other thing that you will see is our universal search bar along the top here. And this green section here, it defaults to checkout whenever you're in the dashboard because we presume that most of the actions that a staff member is going to do is check out items. However, that does change depending on what section you're in. So, for example, if I go into cataloging, you can see that it changes to cataloging search. However, the black bar at the very top hasn't changed. So we still have our Koha icon to take us back to the main dashboard. We have circulation, patrons, search, and in the more section, this will depend on what level of a user you are. So I'm a super librarian, so I have access to all the modules. I'm going to show you my volunteer, Rosie, in a couple of minutes, and you'll see the difference of what she has access to. Over on the right here, you can see that I'm logged in, that my library is the main library, and that I'm on till 1. Now, if you have multiple libraries, then you're going to have a couple of different options here. So if I hit the little arrow and I go to set library desk and register, then you can see that if, for example, I'm working in the Dr. Parker library one day, I can change my settings so that I'm actually checking items out through the Parker library as opposed to the main library. Or, as Sam covers in a webinar that she done circulation last year, if there, for some reason, you want to do something really quickly in a different library, so for example, check something in or check the settings of something, you can change what library setting you're in if you're a super librarian and do those things. The other sections here are if you have multiple desks, you can choose which desk you're sat at. And if you have multiple tills, you can choose which till you're at. So then if I go back to the dashboard and have a look at circulation itself, you can see that within circulation, there's quite a lot of things that you might want to do here. So check out, check in, renew. We also have all of our holds and booking sections here. We have transfers if you have multiple libraries and you want to transfer material between libraries. We also have reports. And if you scroll down here, there is an option for you to work offline if necessary. We're very proud of the fact that our downtime is very minimal, if at all. So very few of our libraries ever need to use the offline circulation, but there might be reasons why you need to use it. So it's good to know that it's available to you. Now, I'm going to log out as myself and I'm going to log back in as my volunteer, Rosie, just so that I can show you the differences. So first thing you'll notice is that there are a lot less options here. And if I go into circulation, you can see that there is also, I'm lacking fast cataloging. Now, everything else is still available for me. I can still transfer, I can still do the holds queues, and I can still check out and check in, obviously. But it's very good to know that you can have different staff members that have different rules and regulations and permissions to do things. So if I log back in as myself, I'm actually going to open it in a new tab so that I can show you the difference and log out and log back in as myself. I'm going to show you Rosie's permissions. So I'm going to go to patrons and I'm going to search for Rosie. And I'm going to go to more and set permissions. So you can see she's not a super librarian. And in checkout and checkout items, it's broken down into the different things that you might want your volunteers or your other different levels of staff members to be able to do. And one of the things that I wanted to point out is things like override blocked renewals. So whenever I go in and start doing things, you're going to see that if a notification comes up, as a super librarian, I can override that, or as a staff member, I can override that. But you may not want all of your staff members to have that level of power. So you can stop that by unchecking the relevant boxes. But what I want to do is point out to you in the edit catalog section, there is a fast cataloging. And that's a really handy thing to allow your staff members to be able to do, because if a user comes up to the desk and wants to check something out, but it hasn't been catalogued yet, they can't check out that item until it exists on the system. So if you allow Rosie to be able to do a little bit of very fast cataloguing just so that that person can take that book or that item and head off, it can then be properly catalogued after the fact, but it exists on the system as an item. So if I hit save, and then if I go back to Rosie, so you can see that I'm in Rosie, and I just refresh this, then fast cataloging has appeared on her dashboard. Okay. The next thing I want to do is I'm going to, I'm logged in as myself now, so that's perfect. Let me just double check that actually. I'm going to log in as Rosie instead to make sure that I didn't just override it and be logged in as myself. Circulation, fast cataloging, it exists, and we're definitely as Rosie. Okay, I just wanted to double check that to make sure I wasn't lying to you. Okay, so I'm as myself. I'm in the dashboard. I am cataloging. I've started a new record. I've started to fill in some of the information, and a user comes up to the desk and they say, I've always wanted to join the library. I'm not currently a member. Can I join the library? Now, I've already demonstrated this, but I'm going to go through it again. I've just started cataloging this record. I haven't filled in all the information, so I don't really want to save it yet, but I don't want to lose where I am. So I can just go to patrons, right click, and open it in a new tab. And then I can add Rosie as a brand new user. Now, I go to new patron. We have already created a lot of templates that I could use and I could start filling in information. But Rosie butts in and says, I'm so sorry, my bus leaves in 5 minutes. Can we do this really, really quickly? You say, not a problem at all. I can go to quick add new patron. So I'm going to give them an adult discount, and I can see that I need to get their surname to fill it in. I need a card number for them, and I can just hit save. Now, before I let them go, I am going to forewarn them that we probably will want a little bit more information from in the future. So if I show the full form, this is what the full form looks like. You don't have to ask for all of this information. You can set what bits of information are required. You can also hide a lot of this information if you don't need to collect it. But to forewarn them, we probably will want to know a little bit more about them, mainly their address, maybe an email address, things like that, way to contact them. But they've signed up to the library, they make their bus, and everybody is happy. The next scenario you've gone back to your catalogue and you've filled in a couple of more sections, and a regular comes up to the desk. They've got a stack of books and they're looking a little bit shamefaced. They've done that thing where they've sidled up to the desk and they say to you, I am desperate to borrow all of these books, but I forgot my library card. Is there any way I can still borrow them? Of course they can. You come to the patron section. You can either type in their name here. So if I start typing in Rosie, you can see that it's going to start suggesting things for me. If I could spell Rosie, that might help. So it's suggesting, yes, that is indeed Rosie. I could also fill it in here and it will make suggestions for me, but that's the Rosie that I want. I'm going to click on that and I'm taken to Rosie's account. I can then go to checkout here and I can start scanning the items. Now, I don't have a scanner on me, so I'm going to have to start actually typing these things in or copying and pasting them, but that's absolutely fine. I can do that. I check out the items that they want, they put them in their bag and they head off and they're delighted. So I decide that actually I'm going to go back to my cataloging. I fill in a few more things and I look up and Rosie's looking at me again and she says, there's a book that I've been wanting to find. I don't know if you have it. Is there any chance that you could have a look for me and see if it's there? You say that's not a problem at all. You come out of your cataloguing record, you go back into Rosie's, you hit search, and they tell you it's called The Long Way to a Small and Angry Planet. I'm going to cheat because I've already typed this out. So you search, have a search for that to see if the library has a copy of it. We have a record. We have a copy of it. That sounds great. It's over in the fiction section. Rosie trots off, picks it up, and brings it back to the desk. And you think, oh no, Rosie forgot her library card. And I've navigated away from her account, so I'm going to have to ask her for her details again and a search for her. Not so. This little link up here for last patron, if I click on that, that takes me straight back to Rosie. So I can now check out that item. So if I just go ahead and do that, 2460035, check out, and Rosie has her book that she wants, and she goes off incredibly happy because that's the type of thing that we love to do for our users. Now, I'm going to do a couple of other checkouts. You can see that that checked out. I've got a little notification here that it's checked out and it's due on the 13th of November. I'm going to go and actually, I'm going to look for myself. I'm going to look at my own account because I want to show you around my patron account. So I'm going to look for myself. And again, if I just type in and then hover for a little bit, I've got a lot of different options, but I want myself. And you can see straight away that in my account, I've got a couple of notices that are drawing my attention because they're in red and in yellow. So the first thing it's telling me is that I have quite a lot of overdues. And that's something that you would want to know because if you have restrictions about whether or not people can either renew things online or if there are a number of over auto renewals that people can do, then you're going to want to be able to see that from their account. The second notice that I have here is that there's a hold waiting for me, that it's actually been waiting for me for a while. It's been waiting for me since September. So you might want to tell the person, did you know that the hold that you requested is waiting for you? You can go and pick it up. And then there's a couple of other messages. So there's one that has been sent to me via the OPAC. So if I logged into my account via the OPAC, I left my card the last time I was in the library, I might want to come and collect it. And then there's another section in red, and that is a staff note. So you can see there that's just staff can see this note, and that I haven't got a lot of information on my account, so we might want to ask me for my address details whenever I next come into the library. And then if I scroll down, we've got the different sections of my account. So we've got my contact information, we've got my library use. The other section that you definitely would want to be paying attention to is how I get messaged. So you can see if I go into edit, I only like to be emailed and I've restricted what types of emails that I receive. You can have a chat with the person about that. We have it set up so that they can make their own decisions about these things. And that's for the library to decide what level of control the library has and what level of control they allow their users. And then if I scroll down, we've got all of the items that I currently have checked out, all of which are overdue because they're all in red. And we can also see in my holds, all of the different holds that I have. And then this is the one that is available for me. The item is waiting in the library. So I'm going to trot off and I'm going to copy and paste that barcode and check it out to myself. So I can check out here. If I click on this, I still have checkout available up here, and then I can just put the barcode in here. But most of you will have scanners, and most of that will be a lot easier for you. Whenever I check out that item, so you can see that I've checked it out and it's due on the 13th, there is another notification that's popped up whenever I've checked it out, and that's because I have unpaid charges. And it hasn't stopped me from checking out that item. That will have been set up in your system settings whenever you've set things up. So you can restrict people from checking more items out if they go over a certain threshold of fines. We haven't done that on this, so that's absolutely fine. I've checked that item out to myself. Now, the next one that I want to try is I'm going to check out 501269. So much easier if I could scan these things. The next thing I want to show you is that I've tried to check this out, but I've gotten this big notification here and it's asking me to yes, renew or no, don't renew. So basically what's happened is I already have this item checked out to myself. And by checking it out again, the system has said she already has this. Do you want to renew it so it's on for a longer period? Or do you not want to renew it? And I would probably just say yes, because why wouldn't I? But there might be a reason why you don't want to renew it. Somebody else may have requested it, but I'm going to say yes, renew for now. The next one that I want to try is I'm going to check out this one, which I hope I do correctly because this one's a little bit different. No more renewals possible. Okay, so that's one that I tried to renew, but it hasn't allowed me to do that. So I've gotten the notification to say, no, there's no more renewals possible. I'm sorry, we're gonna have to return that one. So let's return it. I should have copied that. So I've gone to check in up at the top here, and I'm going to check that item in instead. Aha, and now I find out why it wouldn't let me renew it. There is a hold on it. So someone else has requested it, and it's going to transfer to the green library. So I can either ignore this or I can confirm the hold and transfer it. So I'm going to confirm the hold and transfer it so that that has now been checked in and it's going to go into the transfer system. So hopefully that gives you a good idea of what it's like to check in and check out items. The next thing I'm going to do is show you some of those notices. So that notice that we just saw, if you wanted to have a look at those, you can go to Tools and then you can go to Notices and Slips. And these are all the notices and slips that we have. Koha will automatically come with some default notices, but you can edit and create your own by clicking on the edit button. There are quite a lot, so you might want to dig down in to see what types of ones. You can search for the specific ones that you want here, and you can also filter them by actual library if you have more than one library. The next thing that I want to show you is the circulation rules themselves. So if I go back to the home dashboard, and if I go to administration, under patrons and circulation, you've got your circulation and fine rules. So if I click into that, the first thing you'll see is the notification that gives you a little bit of more detail about how the circulation and fine rules work in Koha. So basically, it starts with most specific to less specific, and in this order. And this section here allows you to set the rules for all of the libraries that you have, or you can drill down into specific ones. And if you do have specific rules for different libraries, you can then clone them to another library as well. So you're not having to repeat all of that information. And then within the table, you can see that we have our patron categories, our item types, the number of checkouts allowed. If I scroll across the table and have a look further along, you can see that if you charge fines, this is where you define how much you charge, the interval that you charge for them, when they will be charged. You can also define whether or not something can be put on hold. So the total holds allowed, the number of holds allowed, and a variety of other things here. You can edit each of these actions. When you implement with us as a customer, we will go through all of these things for you. We won't just leave you to sort all of this out by yourself. This is one of the things that happens during your implementation process with us. And if I scroll down, then we can drill down into a little bit more. So we've got our default checkout, hold and return policies. We've got our hold policies by patron category, and so on. Okay, so the very last thing that I just want to show you so that you know where it is and that it exists is the calendar. The calendar is the next part of circulation that controls things like when your items are due back and whether or not fines are applied. So if I go to tools, and if I go to additional tools and calendar, now I'm just showing you where this is because this is where you put in your opening hours, your exceptions, and your holidays. But Janet did an amazing WOM on this last week. So if you want to go into more detail about this, then I highly recommend that you have a look at that. I hope that was helpful for you. We're going to stop recording now and do a little bit of a Q&A session.